guys, my name is Simon and I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo. In honor of his 50th birthday coming up this Friday the 13th, I'm going to be counting down my top 13 favorite Scooby-Doo movies. When it comes to Scooby-Doo films, there really aren't any bad ones. In fact, it's difficult to find a Scooby-Doo movie that I dislike more than I like. That's why it proved to be quite a challenge to narrow down the immense list of 43 Scooby-Doo films to just my top 13. The things I look for in a Scooby-Doo film are good animation, good writing, a good cast of characters, a nice monster, and a spooky mystery. Number 13, Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword. As far as visuals go, this is definitely the most beautiful Scooby-Doo film. The character design and costumes are perfect, the backgrounds are stunning, and the lighting design is flawless. The first time I saw this movie, I was so captivated by the animation, I forgot to pay attention to what was happening in the film. Now, as far as plot goes, this Scooby-Doo movie isn't the best. The setup is good, but the movie falls apart halfway through. The climax is messy, and the conclusion is somewhat unsatisfying. Besides that though, the movie is very funny. There are some great food jokes in this film involving Shaggy and Scooby. As far as monsters go, the Black Samurai isn't super scary, but there are many side monsters, including my personal favorite, the Green Dragon, and all of them are incredibly cool. There are some really great action sequences, which is something you don't always see in Scooby-Doo movies. The end fight, although written poorly, is breathtaking to watch. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword 7 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 12, Scooby-Doo, Music of the Vampire. This is one of my favorite Scooby-Doo movies because it's a musical, and I'm a big fan of musical theater. It has 5 original musical numbers: Bayou Breeze, Done with Monsters, The Vampire's Dance, The Vampire's Bite, Do You Want to Live Forever, and my favorite, Scooby and Me. The concept of a Scooby-Doo movie that's also a musical sounds weird, but it works very well. The writing of this movie is very good. The plot is simple, but what it lacks in complexity, it makes up for in fun musical numbers. The characters in this film are very funny and make for a great supporting cast. There's a troupe of actors who turn out to be a cult of people who want to become vampires. There's a mob of political activists who believe vampires are unholy. There is also Vincent Van Helsing, a vampire novelist who wants to sell more vampire books. The visual design in this movie is good. It's nothing incredibly special, but it's not bad by any means. The monster, Lord Valdronia, isn't the scariest we'll encounter on this list, but he definitely serves his job as an effective Scooby-Doo villain. Real quick spoiler warning, as I'm going to talk about the ending. Vincent Van Helsing's motives didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Sure, he wanted to make people believe in vampires so they'd buy his books, but he himself did believe vampires were real, so it didn't make sense for him to create a fake one. That's really my only problem with this movie. Besides that, the mystery is pretty good. We get some great investigation scenes and a lot of fishy, or should I say, garlicky, suspects. I give Scooby-Doo Music of the Vampire 8 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 11, Scooby-Doo Moon Monster Madness. Out of every Scooby-Doo movie, this definitely has one of the best supporting casts of characters. Everyone is dynamic and funny, and it makes the movie really enjoyable to watch. This film is a parody of the famous sci-fi horror film Alien, and the creators of this movie definitely committed to it 100%. The plot is so goofy and over the top, it's impossible not to laugh out loud during the film. All of the jokes are great. The visuals in this movie are incredible, and it's definitely the second best film in the visual design department, right behind Samurai Sword. The lighting and settings are great and super fun to look at. The costume designs are good too, but every character is wearing the same spacesuit throughout the movie, so it's nothing super unique. The xenomorph, the alien, is awesome and looks super cool. The film, while still being fun, has more horror elements than other Scooby-Doo movies. It has an awesome horror and sci-fi-esque soundtrack, which makes for a fun thrill ride of a Scooby flick. The investigation scenes are really fun, as they all take place in space. Who doesn't want to see everyone's favorite Great Dane looking for clues on the moon? My only problem with this film is that Velma has a slightly negative attitude towards Daphne the whole movie, and it's a little bit annoying. There are a couple times when her attitude is funny, but for the most part, it's not. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Moon Monster Madness 9 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 10, Scooby-Doo Shaggy's Showdown. I love this movie because it has such a heavy focus on Shaggy, my favorite member of the gang. I always like it when the mystery or ghost has a direct relation to the gang or is targeting them specifically, as it makes for a more interesting mystery. The monster, Dapper Jack, is super cool because he's the ghost of Shaggy's ancestor. His visual design is really neat as he looks like a ghost version of Shaggy. The humor in this film is very good as well, just like all Scooby-Doo movies. The supporting characters are funny for the most part. They all have a reoccurring gag associated with their character. This is very funny during the beginning of the movie, but they repeat it so many times that it grows old after the first half of the film. There's a joke with Velma where she gets annoyed at the font of a website, and it is hilarious. What makes it even funnier is that the annoying font ends up being a major clue in the mystery. The animation is great. The character designs of Shaggy's family are really fun to see. There's nothing spectacular like in Moon Monster Madness, but there's nothing bad either. The reason why this film scores higher than the previous ones is because of the mystery. The mystery in this film is fantastic. There are so many investigation scenes, and all of them are super interesting. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Shaggy's Showdown 9 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 9, Scooby-Doo Stage Fright. This Scooby-Doo movie is downright hilarious. It is by far one of the funniest movies in the franchise. This film takes the plot of The Phantom of the Opera, but has it take place in an America's Got Talent-esque competition. The gags in this film are great. All of the characters are fantastic and funny in their own way. They each have character traits that are humorous, but unlike Shaggy's Showdown, they play into them just the right amount. I laugh out loud every time I see this. One of the gags is that everyone is dressing up as the Phantom. And by everyone, I mean they unmask 5 different people who were all pretending to be the same ghost, independent of each other. The visuals in this film are good. The costume design of the Phantom is good as well. The Phantom's costume is creepy, but the Phantom itself isn't really scary. In fact, nothing in this film is. But that's because everything is played for laughs, and it works very well. The characters in this film are also more dynamic than they usually are, especially the gang. Fred and Daphne, who are usually very one-sided characters, have a lot of depth in this film. They play into the fact that they both like each other, and it's very funny. Literally everything in this movie is very funny. The climax of the film, however, is actually very thrilling. It makes for a nice change of pace and a great finale. My only complaint with this film is one of the characters, Chrissy. She is a preteen girl who sings about her man for the competition. The other characters point out that it's inappropriate for her to sing the song she sings, but it's still a bit uncomfortable to watch. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Stage Fright 9 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 8, Scooby-Doo Franken Creepy. As I said before, I love when the mystery has a direct connection to the gang, and that's all that this film is about. All of the villains unmasked at the end, yes, there are multiple, are previous villains that were unmasked during Scooby-Doo Where Are You? The villain's evil plot in this film is to get revenge on Mystery Incorporated. And by revenge, I mean they plan to blow them up inside of a house. Yes, you heard me, blow them up. This is one of the only Scooby films where the villain's goal is to murder the gang. This movie has good animation and great lighting. One of my favorite things about this film is the editing. There are some great transitions in between shots. Also, the opening credits are fantastic. They foreshadow the big reveal at the end without the audience realizing it. This movie is really great in terms of characters. The writers take the main character traits of the gang and amplify them. This movie has Velma as a very important character, which is something we don't get often. This film has some great jokes. The film is based around the story of Frankenstein, and it's funny how the writers parody it. Along with being one of the funniest Scooby-Doo movies, it's also one of the scariest. Along with the monster being scary, the unmasked villains are terrifying. One of the comforting things about Scooby-Doo is once the monster is unmasked, the villain is no longer scary. But that is not the case here. The villains are malicious. Overall, I'm giving Scooby-Doo Franken Creepy 10 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 7, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders. This movie is a perfect Scooby-Doo film. It has everything you look for in a Scooby flick and more. The monster is great, the jokes are hilarious, the animation is fantastic, and the mystery is super mysterious. There's really nothing bad about this Scooby-Doo movie. This film takes the legends of alien sightings and has the gang investigate them. It has a great cast of supporting characters, but there are 2 that stand out. Shaggy and Scooby meet fellow hippies, Crystal and her dog Amber. Scooby and Shaggy fall head over heels in love, and it is hilarious to see. Shaggy sings a love song called How Groovy, and I laugh throughout the song every time I see it. Yes, every time. This Scooby film is so good that it deserves multiple rewatches. There's a good villain reveal and an even better twist involving Crystal and Amber. Spoiler alert, while the aliens we see in the movie are people in masks, Crystal and Amber end up being real aliens. As I said before, there's nothing even slightly bad about this movie. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders 10 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 6, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. This Scooby-Doo movie is definitely the most famous, and for good reasons. This movie marks the first time Mystery Inc. encounter real monsters in a movie, and the filmmakers handle it perfectly. There's so many twists and turns in this movie, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. This film takes the Scooby Snack flavored cake as the scariest Scooby-Doo film. This movie wanted to scare its audience, and it did not hold back at all. One of the best things about this movie, however, is that even though it's terrifying, it still saves time for plenty of laughs. There are some fantastic food jokes and some hilarious gags about Scooby-Doo's fear of cats. And like any good movie would, the jokes are more than just a punchline. The fear of cats gets incorporated into a twist when you find out the supporting cast, who you thought was nice, are actually bloodthirsty cat people. And you also learn that the zombies, who you thought were evil, were actually victims of the cat people. The animation in this film is great, and it provides some terrifying imagery. One of the best things about this movie is that while being a great Scooby-Doo movie, it holds up as a fantastic good movie, period. Anyone, comedy fans, horror fans, and of course Scooby fans, will love this movie. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island 10 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 5, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. This Scooby-Doo film has fantastic characters. It has an amazing supporting cast, including a band called the Hex Girls, who Scooby and Shaggy believe to be vampire witches. There's also Ben Ravencroft, a horror writer with a dark secret. He's played by Tim Curry, who's the best part of this film. He gives an incredible performance, probably the best voice acting in the whole franchise. His character turns out to be a twist villain, and it's so much fun to see Tim Curry play a maniacal Scooby-Doo bad guy. His performance is the main reason this film scores higher than Zombie Island for me. The animation is great, and there are some amazing costumes in this film. The design of the Hex Girls is perfect for their characters. The humor in this film is funny, just like any other Scooby-Doo film. The scares are great in this movie, especially at the climax when Ben is revealed to be a warlock. The mystery is also one of the best in the series. The film leads you to believe that the mystery is over halfway through, but it pulls you back in for more. There's also some great music in this movie. The Hex Girls sing some awesome songs that will stay stuck in your head for eternity. Like the last 2 films, there's really nothing negative to say about this Scooby-Doo movie. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost 10 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 4, Scooby-Doo, Legend of the Phantosaur. This Scooby-Doo movie is the funniest in the franchise. It is such an over-the-top plot and cast of characters. While the film isn't really scary, it's packed full of laughs. Lots of them. Every single thing in this movie is incredibly goofy. There's some hilarious humor from Shaggy. He gets hypnotized into thinking he's brave, so he takes on a gang of bikers and faces off against their leader in a bike race. Velma also has some laugh-out-loud moments when she falls in love with a paleontologist who acts exactly like her. The best joke is at the end of the film, where everyone in the gang is accidentally hypnotized into believing they're all Shaggy. Even the monster, a ghost dinosaur, is funny at times. It's hard to breathe sometimes while watching this movie because of how funny it is. On top of the humor, the animation in this film is great. There's some fantastic lightings, and the design of the dinosaurs is stunning. As far as the mystery goes, there's some pretty cool investigation scenes. There's a great cast of supporting characters and some good suspects. This is definitely one of the most entertaining Scooby-Doo films. The pacing of the film is fantastic, and although it has a running time of 1 hour and 15 minutes, it feels like the length of an episode. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Legend of the Phantosaur 10 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 3, Scooby-Doo Camp Scare. This Scooby-Doo film is incredible on so many different levels. It's so hard to know where to start. This Scooby-Doo movie is one of the funniest, scariest, best animated, and coolest films in the series. It has 3 different monsters, and each one of them is terrifying. The Woodsman has an incredible costume design, and the way he's animated is breathtaking. The scenes with him are modeled after slasher films such as Friday the 13th, and it's both funny and scary. The scenes with the Fishman make you clutch your fists with anticipation, and the scene with the Spectre of Shadow Canyon will make you scream. This movie has an excellent mystery and makes the audience keep on guessing throughout the film as to who the culprit really is. One of the campers, Deacon, turns out to be a grown man and a mob boss too. He's very intimidating. At the end of the film, there's a hint that one of the ghosts might be real, and it will leave goosebumps on your arms. The movie is also quite action-packed. There are many chase scenes and scenes when the gang barely escape their doom. This movie keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Along with being intense and scary, it's also super funny. The supporting cast is hilarious. There are some great food jokes with Shaggy and Scooby. The voice acting in this film is fantastic. Mark Hamill is in the movie, and he's definitely the MVP. His performance will chill your bones, and he's almost as good as Tim Curry was in Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. This is the best animated Scooby-Doo movie in the series and is more than perfect. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Camp Scare 11 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Number 2, Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster. This is the most cinematic Scooby-Doo film. While being live action, the visuals still end up being stunning, from the great CGI to the awesome camera work. This movie is Scooby-Doo, but it's also so much more. It's a genuinely good film that anyone can enjoy. The writing's great, and it really breaks boundaries with what a good Scooby story can be. The mystery is fantastic, and the twist is incredible and shocking. Spoiler alert, the witch, Wanda Grubwort, possessed Velma and made her control the lake monster to wreak havoc on the country club. Everything about this movie is great, but the best thing about this film is the acting. Everyone in the gang, Robbie Amell, Haley Kiyoko, Kate Melton, and especially Nick Pilatus, gives an incredible performance. They make the characters very dynamic and give them a lot of depth. Even though it's live action, it feels just like watching one of the cartoon movies. There are 2 musical numbers in this film which add to the fun of watching it. The movie is scary, funny, and so much more. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster 12 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Before I reveal my favorite Scooby-Doo film, here are some honorable mentions. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. The whole film is action-packed and fun. The only problem is that the Phantom Virus isn't very scary, and his motives don't make sense. Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster. This film is great in almost every way, but like Cyber Chase, the villain's motives just don't make sense. Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. This film is hilarious and super entertaining, but it's really just a compilation of funny gags, and there's not really a mystery. Big Top Scooby-Doo. This film is great. Good mystery, jokes, and a nice monster. The problem here is that the plot just isn't too memorable. Lego Scooby-Doo Haunted Hollywood. This film is very entertaining, and they make good use of the Lego format, but it isn't scary, and at times the pacing is off. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1, Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins. This is my favorite Scooby-Doo movie because it tells the best story. This film takes the Scooby-Doo characters and places them in a high school setting. Fred is the football jock, Velma is the nerd, Daphne is the theater kid, and Shaggy is the outcast. While this film is about Scooby and the gang, Shaggy is center stage in this one. This film tells the story of how a bullied Shaggy finds a group of friends that he fits in with, something he had a hard time doing. It's a very moving story actually, and it's held together by the fantastic actors. It is the same stellar cast as Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster, and their performances are incredible in this film. They do an amazing job at taking these very goofy, over-the-top characters and making them relatable. This story of friendship and mystery is so good, I'm surprised it didn't get a theatrical release. It did, however, have the largest audience of any Cartoon Network event with 6.1 million viewers, and it deserved it. The CGI is of a little less high quality than Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster, but it doesn't detract from the film at all, because the story is so interesting. The mystery itself is great, and there are some fantastic investigation scenes. The Spectre and the two ghosts are great Scooby-Doo monsters, but they aren't the highlight of the film. This film is stellar, and it's all because of the great writing and amazing cast. Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins isn't just my favorite Scooby-Doo movie, it's my favorite movie. Overall, I give Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins 13 Scooby Snacks out of 10. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy birthday to Scooby-Doo!